So a really enjoyable and productive session yesterday. Just to recap on the work that we did, obviously when we look at the main footage, this is your swing during the early part of your lesson. You have been trying to stay more centred, and you can see there during your backswing you are in a much more centred position than you were a few weeks ago. Having said that, we do still need to stay a little bit more centred than what we're getting at the moment. We can see as you take the club back, the emphasis or the focus in the past has been on maintaining the flex in the right knee, and you can see as you do that, that restricts the hip turn, and as a result the upper centre starts to drift off to the right during the backswing. The left shoulder works very much across. Very hard to stay centred when those two things are happening. If we then take a little look at how we would like you to do it, is we'd like to see that right leg just lengthening a little bit, allowing the hips to turn. And you can see there that the left shoulder tends to work down and across a little bit more. So you can see there's almost a hint at the top that the body weight starts to move into the left. Remember what we said during the lesson, the weight moving progressively onto the left side from evenly distributed or maybe a touch more on your left setup to about 65% at the top of your backswing is a counterbalance, allowing you to stay centred during the backswing. Now, the interesting thing was when we asked you in your backswing to feel like you were going to move towards your target, this is what we experienced. We can see that the right leg starts to straighten, the left shoulder works down more, and you can see though that there isn't a hint of move towards your target at all. But in feeling that you're going to let yourself drift towards the target, you stay in a much more centred position. And we can see here that the early part of the backswing, the left shoulder is working down at the same rate that it's working across, as opposed to what we're seeing in this one where the shoulder works across. There's not as much downward movement of the left shoulder in that move, and as a result we're moving off to the right. So a good drill for you there is, as we suggested during the early part of your session, lock that right leg out, place a little bit more weight on your left side. That's going to put your hips in a turn position. It's also going to make sure that that right leg is as straight as it's ever going to get. We wouldn't want you to get there long term, but it is a nice way of emphasising the position we're looking to work on. Also, in your practice swings, feel like you're just going to drift towards your target a little bit on the way back. You can see there that you don't do that at all. What you do is stay in a much more centred position. As a result, your ball striking is going to be more consistent, and you're going to present the club from the inside more often. The swing itself then during the hitting of the golf ball is lacking a little bit, because as we come into the golf ball we tend to keep that left knee flexed a little bit too long. We lose a little bit of height, and the arms are starting to divide to compensate for that. Also, when that right knee gets across and stays flexed a little bit too much, we get stuck underneath it a little bit. So this movement from impact onwards, we just move our friend here into impact. What we're going to see is just after impact, the left leg is going to straighten more, and the belt is going to raise slightly. So you can see through impact the feeling is that the legs are going to straighten and the belt is going to raise, getting much more extension. If we're looking to follow through, his sternum is behind his belt buckle, and if we run you through, there isn't that much lifting of the belt, there certainly isn't that much straightening of the left knee, and as a result there is extension, but it isn't as pronounced as what we're seeing on the right hand side. That's a key source of power. So we can feel that we're going to extend more and keep the arms straight. The exercise I suggested you do for that was to hold a heavy object and make some little swings. Remember to start the swing with a bit of a left tilt, because obviously we're trying to still emphasise that in your backswing, and then swing through to chest height with straighter arms. So that's the backswing and the downswing from face on. If we take a little look at the backswing from down the line, what I'd like to see is the hands working in a little bit more. We can see as we take the club back, the hands and the arms tend to stay on the target line. You can see the club staying pretty much towards the camera at that point. Now to get it on the inside, we've got to manipulate that. What I'd like to see you do is work the club, as we see here, a little bit more on the inside. You can see the arms working in more during the takeaway. That's going to allow you to swing in more of a circle, and then that's then going to allow you to get that feeling of hitting out at the golf ball more as you come through in that manner, as we were talking about with your driver, to allow for more comfortably moving the ball right to left. At the moment, because the arms are dividing a little bit through impact, the tendency is to work across the ball a little bit too much. You can see there that one, square club face, path to the left, and you pull that one left of target. So that move across the ball there is a direct result of the takeaway being a little bit too much in front of you, as opposed to being a little bit more on the inside. So arms in or hands in would be a nice swing thought for you to have in the early part of your backswing. So there you have it, Tom. Plenty to work on. Obviously we discussed your short game. I'll send you some notes over referring to that as well. Great to work with you. Keep up the good work, and I'll show you it pay dividends towards the start of the spring. Well done.